Hey. Next to rock like Mick Foley. It's Nick Joby, kill him softly, play that shit slowly. On the keys like Tony, throwing subs, they get toasted. About my bread like a hoagie. This beat ice cold, look how I ride this Zamboni. I feel like old Tony, good anywhere you throw me. She eat a Chobani, cause her body getting bony. Late night, heavy scrolling, vape light, heavy smoking. We got our healthy habits, we been already growing. It's like we drowning in them, it seems the levee's broken. But it's not too late to change them. And refrain from being slaves to the vices that encage them. I'm writing on this page like I'm throwing hands with Satan. Don't run from all those demons, gotta stand your ground and face them. Sometimes you break, but through destruction comes a renovation. We all just trying to build a foundation. We all just trying to build a foundation. We all just trying to build a foundation. Yeah. Liquidity dry, I couldn't quit if I tried. It's been a ride through all the waves and the tides. Little emptiness inside from all them days with the guys. Try to mask it, but I know you see the pain in his eyes. All the lows and the highs, all the gray in the sky. Every reason I should throw away and swallow my pride. All my life been like a permanent grind of just deserving my shine. And you can't even tell until I push the curtains aside. Hey, and it's disturbing behind. But yo, y'all love to say it's worse in your mind. Still I'm searching to find something that's bigger than a verse or a rhyme. Find your wings and then the courage to fly. Cause we all just trying to build a foundation. We all just trying to build a foundation.
I guess it wasn't meant to be.
Yo, what's happening, everybody? It's your boy, Earth Mac, the mad scientist, Geek Corner members on this Pro Wrestling Tuesday. Man, listen, hope you guys had an awesome weekend, just as awesome as I have. I'm gonna tell you, man, WrestleMania weekend was off the hinges, man. It was off the meat rack, man. All in Philly, man. But we're going to talk about all that stuff. We're going to talk about Cody Rhodes. We're going to talk about Roman Reigns. We're going to talk about the Bloodline storyline. We're going to talk about the cinema that was night 1 of WrestleMania and night 2 of WrestleMania. We're going to dissect some of this stuff, some of the changes that was made in WWE, the most recent new signing in the WWE as of a few hours ago. And it's a woman, it's a female. And also, we're going to talk about, the humongous elephant in the room and AEW releasing the footage. Is that a good move or is it not a good move? We definitely going to go through all of that stuff, man. If you got some questions, Geek Corner members, if you have some questions, do not be afraid to go into the comments. Do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button and share with all your pro wrestling friends, man, because we can have this open forum discussion about WWE and AEW. So, where do I start with this, man? Where do I start? Yesterday was the first time in a very long time that I watched Monday Night Raw from start to finish, like a full 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. This is like the first time I've done it in a long time. Mainly because there's like this great change that is happening. Mainly because the old guard is going away, due to unfortunate circumstances. Vince McMahon is no longer in the picture. If you really pay attention to what was going on over the course of this week, they was talking about the Paul Levesque era. Like, they wasn't mentioning, Vince McMahon, maybe like once or twice, but it wasn't by like Stephanie McMahon or Triple H or anybody else. But it was really a campaign to say this is a new era. This is the era that Triple H is going to lead. He's the chief content officer of the WWE. He is, over creative when it comes to talent. And they kept reiterating that over the course of the weekend, especially Paul Heyman. He was like, I'm proud of being the Paul Levesque era. And I mean, he was very, very vocal about that. So Stephanie McMahon, the same way. Now, I mean, if you look at all the effort that's been put in over this week and over the weekend, that's letting you know right off rip that Triple H is leading the charge. You know, until something happens or whatever, which I hope nothing happens, and I'm happy for it. One of the changes that have been made, though, is the idea of sports entertainment. And as a pro wrestling fan, I couldn't stand that moniker, sports entertainment. I'm like, this is wrestling. This is what this is. I know you're trying to market it to a wider audience, which was in some ways a genius move because you made it a publicly traded company. But this is pro wrestling. Notice that some of the terms that were used in WWE that were taboo to use are now freely usable. You couldn't use the word belt. You know, you got to say title. You know, you couldn't say pro wrestling. It's sports entertainment. Like, I mean, it's almost like an insult to our intelligence, man. And I'm so glad this era is over because The Rock has said it in ad nauseum. Pro wrestling. We come from a pro wrestling family, and we're gonna freaking wrestle. This is what we're going to do. I think they hammered that in pretty well. Like, this is not the same WWE. This is not sports entertainment. This is pro wrestling, and I love every bit of it because I feel like that's when WWE is at its best. Like, when they don't try to insult your intelligence and just give you some pro wrestling matches, but give you some storylines, some cinema. And speaking of cinema, let's talk about this Bloodline storyline. I'm gonna be honest with you. In recent memory, this was the best storyline in pro wrestling in most recent memory, man. I mean, this is on the same level as the NWO and Sting. Like, this was on the same level. But I mean, I can't say the same level because I feel like the Bloodline is actually a step above that. Because if you look at all, like, the past couple years, right, or 3 years rather, of this buildup, and this is before Cody even got into the picture. This is before Cody even joined the WWE. He left AEW to go to WWE. This was before that. Like, this Bloodline storyline carried on so much, man. You got him fighting Jey Uso and Jimmy joining the Bloodline and Jey reluctantly joining the Bloodline, and then you got Sami Zayn coming up in the Bloodline. Paul Heyman being the wise man, and Jey being a hater to Sami Zayn because everybody loves Sami Zayn, and then finally Jey warms up to Sami Zayn, only for Sami Zayn to say, "Hey, listen, Roman is manipulating you, like he's holding you back from doing certain things," only for the Bloodline to turn on Sami Zayn. And then from that standpoint, Jey Uso didn't like that, and then Jey Uso turned on the Bloodline, and then it's Jey and Sami away from the Bloodline. And this was like over the course of a year, a couple years or whatever. Then you finally get Sami versus Roman. Roman gets out on top, and like, from a standpoint of being the longest reigning champion in recent memory, like, I think he did a very good job in that. And I know some people, including myself, felt some kind of way because, he was slowing down a lot on his title defenses. I mean, when you look back at it in retrospect, like, if you're doing it like every month, like, you do run the risk of getting injured, which means it ruins whatever plans that you have in the future. It really does. If you fast forward to night one of WrestleMania, is the main event. Just focus on the main event of WrestleMania night one. That is equivalent to Avengers Infinity War. That's what that is. That is Infinity War. You remember how Avengers Infinity War ended? Like, it didn't end on a good note. Like, most of the heroes disappeared. They got phased out. They got dusted. So, you just left there with the cliffhanger. You're like, what's going to happen? And you got the deck stacked against Cody, and like, how he's going to come out from this. I mean, any smart wrestling fan going to know, okay, if you got all this stacked against you, you're going to come out with a dub the following night. Like, you can't do it 2 nights in a row. Come on now. You got to have a bow a tight little bow wrapped around his present here. So then you move over to night 2, the main event. That was Avengers Endgame. Like, Roman was Thanos. Cody was Captain America. And Cody was down and out, man. Cody was like, hey. And then Jey Uso was like, listen, on your left. Hey, on your left. He shows up, fight Jimmy. Then you got Solo. And then this is what I mean by long-term storytelling. Like, this, like bringing it back. Seth Rollins says, no one knows Roman like I know Roman. And the only way this can pop off is if I will be your shield. And that's exactly what he did. He took a chair shot for Cody. And if you're really, really paying attention, at the point in time, you wasn't really paying attention like that. But the way Seth took that chair shot, the way he fell, the way he like hunched over the second rope, that's the exact same scene as when Seth did it to Roman when the Shield broke up. The same exact scenario, the same exact scene. And which, I mean, that was like perfect. Like all these loose ends was getting tied up, So finally you get Cody with the 1, 2, 3, man. And listen, I was into this match. I was like super into this match because I didn't know how this was going to end. In my mind, I know Cody was going to win, but just the actual drama in the match and all the stuff that transpired in the match with Undertaker showing up and John Cena showing up. I'm like, there's no way you're going to have all these people show up and Cody not win, because where do you go from here? Like there's a small percentage of people that like, well, Roman should have retained. Okay, where the hell Cody was going to go from here? Like, how could you keep us interested in Cody after all this, the whole army showing up for Cody only for him to lose again? Like, there's no way to build this shit back up for us to be interested in it, because now it's very, 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 very predictable to the point where we know Cody's going to win. But like it was hard enough after the first year, Roman beats him and he had to wait an entire year after that to get his get back, to get his revenge. Like, that was a tough call to make. That was a gutsy call. That was a ballsy call, because that never really happened like before. Like, it never really happened. I mean, it did happen with John Cena and The Rock, and they postponed it for another year, and then Cena finally gets his dub and all that. But this is not the true ending of the Bloodline story. Like, it's on pause. It's on intermission at this point, because when you fast forward to Monday Night Raw and what happened with The Rock and Cody, a part of me was thinking, another Bloodline member that you never seen before was going to pull up and attack Cody. But I was like, that might be too early at that standpoint. But then you see Rock gives Cody something, and he's like, listen, don't break my heart again. Which makes you wonder, like, that's a seed that's been planted. He's like, listen, The Rock got to step away for a while. He got to go do something, this, that, and the third. Obviously, he's doing some movies, obviously. Wrestlemania season's over with. So the big payday is over. So the next big payday will be SummerSlam. What will happen between Cody and Rock at SummerSlam? Obviously, Cody going to defend that title. Cody going to retain that title. He's going to have several title defenses. He's going to do all these things. And then The Rock going to show back up by SummerSlam time and like, yo, I told you I'll be back. And you broke my heart. And so so that's like great storytelling from that standpoint. That's long-term booking from that standpoint. And it's just as sure he did this with John Cena, because he told Cena, like, literally, in 1 year's time, I'm going to come back and see you at WrestleMania. It's coming. I'm going to just put it out there. But Cena kept on doing his thing. He kept on wrestling been in other feuds and whatever. And then boom, Rock shows up. It's like, oh yeah, he did say he was going to pull up. Same thing for Cody. It's the same exact thing. Now the question is, what's next for the WWE? So now that we in a new era, or Cody like to coin it, the Renaissance era, which I really don't like the name, but what's next for WWE? When you look at what's next for WWE, how how can I say this? It's the only way is up. The only way going is up, man. There's no slowdown. If you look at the Raw after WrestleMania, this is really, a really good show. A really good show. Way better than it was last year. I mean, you had a couple of NXT superstars showed up. And then you had John Cena showed up as a surprise. I was sort of kind of disappointed just a little bit because I was thinking somebody's going to pull up at the end of the main event and CM Punk screws over Drew McIntyre again. So now the roles are reversed, like Drew McIntyre is being tormented. And, the rumors were out there that Sheamus no longer with the WWE. Clearly that was a lie because you see an advertisement for Sheamus. Like, he's on the way back. Like, when he's coming back, I don't know when he's coming back. But he's definitely coming back because otherwise they wouldn't advertise him that way. So Sheamus, if there was some type of deal that wasn't made back then, the deal has been made. Like, Sheamus is back with the WWE. Like, he's not jumping ship. He's not going anywhere. That's just what it is. It's just what it is. And with Drew McIntyre, like, Drew McIntyre is not the champion, but chances are he already re-signed with the WWE. So let's just be real. People want to work for Triple H. Okay? People want to work for Triple H. Like, people ain't walking on eggshells around here, around the locker room like they used to with Vince McMahon. It's just different. It's a different atmosphere. It's more positive, and people have a little bit more freedom. And there have been reports that Nick Khan, Triple H have been talking about, branching out, collaborating with other wrestling companies. And the first wrestling company that comes to mind is TNA, because you got Jordan Grace that pulled up at Royal Rumble. I feel like that's a good pickup because you could do Worlds Collide with NXT and TNA. That would have been awesome to see. Jordan Grace is, once she leaves TNA, there's a high probability that she may go over to WWE. Like, she got the body for it. She's awesome altogether. I can't see her going to AEW mainly because of what transpired with Jonathan Gresham, her husband. And, I don't think the whole thing with Jonathan Gresham and AEW ended on good terms. Like, I don't have the 100% facts on that, but it was just weird from that standpoint. So Jordan Grace going to WWE, there's definitely a possibility once her contract with TNA ends. It's definitely a possibility. Now, as far as the latest signing for the WWE, it is Julia. Julia is formerly of Stardom. Obviously, she's with Rossi, and she signed with WWE as of a few hours ago. Obviously, there was some offers that was made with AEW, but I don't think they was as interested in Julia as the WWE was. So Julia signed with the WWE, and if you don't know who Julia is, listen, just go on YouTube, just type in Julia with the G, like Jiulia, like Julia, and versus anybody, and just look at any of her matches. Like, she will beat the shit out of you. Like, she wants to go to NXT, to learn her craft, like learn the American style of, pro wrestling, because, Japanese style is different. It's strong style. It's hard hitting. It's going to smack you in the face. So I think most of the moveset that Julia has is going to stay with her. And that's where we're going to go from there. The surprising thing that happened over the weekend with WrestleMania is Gunther losing the Intercontinental title. I didn't see that coming. I really didn't see that coming. That was really the biggest surprise the whole entire weekend. To be honest with you, night one, Gunther and Sami Zayn was the match of the night. Like, no question. That is the match of the night. That is the pro wrestling match of the night. They was grappling. They were grappling. And then they had a little story behind it. And, Sami Zayn gets that dub, and obviously he promised Chad Gable. To back up for a second, what I thought about when I watched Sami Zayn and Gunther go head to head? I was thinking of Rocky 4. Like Chad Gable, well, more or less like Rocky 3 technically. Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 like combined. Like Chad Gable was, lack of a better term, Apollo Creed, and Sami Zayn was Rocky. And Chad Gable is motivating this man, training this man. Like, listen, you can't beat Gunther right now, but I'm going to get you there. I'm going to train you there. Like, you fight great, but I'm a great fighter. You know what I mean? And then Sammy, Rocky IV beat all the odds, man, and Gunther playing the role of Ivan Drago, and he finally conquered the beast, like the person that no one could beat. Excuse me. In the WWE for the Intercontinental title. I mean, he went through Sheamus, he went through Drew McIntyre, he went through Chad Gable twice. I mean, like he did that. So now Sami Zayn is the Intercontinental champion. But hey, you owe Chad Gable a favor, fam. And he's making good on that favor. So they will face each other next Monday night on Raw, in Sammy's home country, and obviously Sammy's gonna retain. That is going to happen. I feel like there's another story that's coming out above that. I think Chad Gable may be turning heel, or they might hit us with a swerve, or they might hit Chad Gable with a "you are the new Intercontinental champion, but we couldn't have you beat Gunther," which that don't really make sense. But the only thing I can see out of that is Chad Gable not winning and Chad Gable being a heel going forward. But we will see. Jimmy and Jey Uso didn't slap. It didn't deliver like it was supposed to, right? And I know some people on Twitter that was talking about, don't you ever in your life critique a Young Bucks match ever again, because if you think that match was good, then don't say shit about the Young Bucks. I'm not going to take it that far. I think they should have dug a little deeper within that match because of what transpired, what led up to that point. Like, Jimmy cost him the opportunity to be the undisputed heavyweight champion. He cost the opportunity to be Intercontinental champion. He caused a lot of pain, And as brothers, you beat the shit out of each other, but your brothers at the end of the day, like, everything is chill. I mean, it did dug in it just a little bit, like, I don't want to kick my brother in the face. He told me to stop, that kind of thing. But I feel like the interaction they had on night 2, where they threw each other on the tables, was a little bit more, more emotional than it was on night 1. And maybe they was just pressed for time. That could be the case too. So, but the match wasn't really hitting for me. But I will say this though, Jey Uso is a single superstar for sure. Like, he carved his own little path to be a person that is super, super, super over with the crowd. Like, there's no question about that. Jimmy, not so much. I don't think so. Like with Jimmy. Jimmy got a personality though. Jimmy has a personality, super funny, super talented. But I think Jey Uso's personality is shining a little bit more as far as a singles guy. But I mean, I do foresee Jimmy and Jey being back together as a tag team once again. I mean, you can't keep them separate forever, but I see that happening. But as far as Seth Rollins, now, like, let's go to night 2 here with Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. Like, Drew McIntyre finally getting this dub. I'm like, oh snap, this is where this is. And then finally Damian Priest wakes up and he takes the opportunity, just like CM Punk took the opportunity from Drew McIntyre. And then, listen, Drew McIntyre only been a champion for just a few minutes. That's it. And now Damian Priest is your new world heavyweight champion. And I think he's the first Puerto Rican champion in over 50 years or 50 plus years or something like that. So that's saying a lot. Hopefully Priest holds that title for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Have a little title run. Like, have some stories coming out of that. Because now that the Bloodline story is on pause, you got the Judgment Day story. Like, you got a lot of moving parts here. So, WWE is in a very, very good place when it comes to their storytelling, what they got going on. And let's not forget, there is a draft coming in a couple weeks. Like when you got the WWE draft, I'm thinking Cody might go to Raw and Damian Priest might go to SmackDown. Like, since the new Netflix deal, I thinking Cody Rhodes gonna go to Monday Night Raw with the new Netflix deal that's coming. So that will say a lot. Raw will be if you look at it in that regard, like, I feel like Raw will be the A show and SmackDown will be the B show, but you got to say an A and a B. You can't say an A and an A, but And sometimes it flip-flops. Sometimes SmackDown will have a better story, and then sometimes Raw will have a better story. It just, there's levels to it. So WWE is in a good place as far as what's next for them. I think Cody going to have a lengthy run. I mean, they harped on the fact that Cody beat Roman Reigns after, 1,300 plus day title reign, and they held on to that on Monday Night Raw. I don't know how long they've been cutting these, had an opening segment where it was promos. I think maybe 30, 40 minutes, really. That was like the longest I ever seen it, honestly. And, all they was doing was just setting up for some other things, setting up for the future. But I do believe that Rock and Cody will meet at SummerSlam, and who will win that match, that remains to be seen. My guess is The Rock will take the belt back from Cody, and then Rock will call himself the Tribal Chief. And then you work on WrestleMania. And then you got Roman and Rock at WrestleMania. Then you finally get that. Because Cody finishes his story, right? Done. He has his lengthy title run until SummerSlam, right? Boom. Done. Rock is the new world undisputed WWE champion, right? Boom. Bet. Roman got a problem with that because you call yourself the Tribal Chief. Nah, fam. I'm the Tribal Chief. Well, you want to fight me for this, bitch. Boom. Roman, Rock, WrestleMania 41. That's easy money right there. Oh, let's not forget main event Jey Uso. Main event Jey Uso might be up in the mix too, because if he's super over with the crowd, he may be the world heavyweight champion. You might get a run back with Jimmy Uso. I don't know. The possibilities are endless. WrestleMania was a success. One thing I will say though, as far as over the course of the weekend, there was a lot of other wrestling shows that was going on over the weekend. WrestleMania weekend is the biggest weekend in pro wrestling. It's not just WWE. You have GCW, the Collective. They had like several shows that was going on. For the Culture, which is an all-black wrestling, event. You know what I'm saying? You got GCW versus TJPW. You got Bloodsport X with Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler showed up at Bloodsport X, got a dub, by the way. And you see all these, other wrestling companies having their thing. And Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor. Oh my gosh. Supercard of Honor was really, really good. Athena is still the longest reigning women's Ring of Honor champion. And I think she broke Bryan Danielson's record for longest title reign. I think she's in the top 3 with the men. So it's Samoa Joe, Athena, and someone else, but she's in that top 3 in longest title reigns. That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot for Athena, man. And some people gonna be like, it's Ring of Honor, but nobody watches that. I beg to differ, because they had thousands of people up in those stands watching Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor. There's people that are subscribed to Ring of Honor Wrestling, and the only reason that they subscribe to Ring of Honor Wrestling is because of Athena. Athena is the flagship bearer of Ring of Honor. Yes, you have the Ring of Honor heavyweight champion and Mark Briscoe, and because he just he beat Eddie Kingston for the Ring of Honor heavyweight title. But the flagship bearer, though, for sure, is Athena. So give her flowers, man. So it is what it is on that standpoint. Now that I got all the positives out the way, because I'm very, very excited for the future of WWE. Everybody seems happy. Everybody seems like they're on one accord, and you see behind the scenes photos, like with Seth Rollins with tears in his eyes, like when Cody won that, finally got his title win and he gets his shine and his story is literally finished. I'm gonna give you some truth. This is not tribalism or anything like that, because there's certain people, there's certain podcasters or whatever think it's tribalism to say this, but Cody's story wouldn't be as big if it wasn't for AEW, and that's a fact. Because what is part of Cody's story? Cody was with WWE first. He didn't like how he was being used, and they didn't see a main eventer in Cody. Cody picked up his bags and left. Him and Brandy both went to Japan, went to TNA, and then finally with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, they start this groundswell of a pro wrestling company called AEW and get a TV deal and everything else in between. It's legit competition. that aided in putting Black and Gold out of building. I wouldn't say out of business, but made NXT Black and Gold no more, to the point where Vince made a decision, which was a horrible decision, to make NXT 2.0, which was trash. But from that standpoint, Cody leaves AEW, which was shocking from that standpoint, and he shows up and WWE again. His story goes way back, like way back. This is like before he joined AEW, and AEW is part of his story. Period. That's the truth of the matter. You may hate it, you may dislike it, but you got to live with it. Because one thing he wanted to do was be the WWE champion. That was something his dad was not able to accomplish. And he was able to accomplish it, you know, by hook, by crook. And it took everything in the kitchen sink to do it. But he did it. He did it. That is the truth. Now, also during the week of WrestleMania week, through all the success and all the marketing, it seems like some individuals could not keep AEW out of their mouths. Obviously, it was asked by Ariel Helwani for CM Punk, because CM Punk was really the first person to actually start talking about the situation with Jack Perry specifically. And obviously, that, you know, you look on Twitter, you look on social media platforms, and you see people like backing CM Punk. Like, yeah, you know, this is what it is. I got bad experiences with this guy too. This is what this is too. You know, co-signing and everything else, because everybody got a story to tell, right? There's two sides to every story, and the only side we have heard verbatim is Punk's. We heard his story. We haven't heard anything from AEW camp. We haven't heard anything of a response until we got to go into what the Bucks said on their Twitter feed, and said we will release the footage. And we thinking, oh, this is a bait and switch. This is one of them situations where you want us to come watch the product, and you're not really going to give us the footage of what we're wanting to see. Now, also, you know, Pat McAfee throw out a jab there, and you know, CM Punk throw out a jab, keep a couple jabs here and there. You know what I mean? And you know, Tony Khan never said anything. He didn't respond on the internet and this, that, and the third. But the Bucks responded and they said, release the footage. Release the tape. Release the tape. And that just left, you know, the IWC in like this crazy frenzy. It was like, what is this? Is this has got to be a work? There's got to be a bait and switch or whatever. That has been confirmed by Tony Khan. Like, nah, this is not a bait and switch. We always deliver on our promises. And according to Fightful, it says during April 6, 2024 edition of AEW Collision, it was announced that the Young Bucks, Matthew Jackson and Nicholas Jackson, will present backstage footage from AEW All In, and will discuss it for the first time on April 10th edition of Dynamite. It was previously reported that the video footage exists of CM Punk backstage altercation with Jack Perry at All In. Punk recently told his side of the story during an interview with the MMA Hour. Now, while speaking with SportsIllustrated.com, AEW President Tony Khan confirmed that the decision to air the footage is not a bait and switch tactic. The AEW, and to quote him, he says AEW has a great track record on delivering what we advertise, and it is real footage. The Young Bucks will show backstage footage from All In, the most important event in AEW history, the world record holder for the most tickets ever sold for any wrestling record, over 81,035 total, and it was an important night backstage as well. The decision is based on putting on the best show for AEW, as well as driving interest for Dynamite and our Dynasty pay-per-view on April 21st. This is a real-life footage that affected many people, and it will air for the first time on TBS during Dynamite. So, the question is this the right move? And you got some jackasses on the internet saying this is like 2000s WCW all over again. Like, they're not the same, okay? They're not the same. Let me address that, okay? Where was this energy when Eric Bischoff called out Vince McMahon on live TV and said, I want to fight you. Let's fight. I will give you, this is an invitation. Let's fight. Where was this energy? We didn't have that kind of energy. You don't want to know why? Because we wanted to see this shit. We wanted to see it because we was going to be entertained by it. Where was that energy when Vince McMahon said Bret screwed Bret? When it was addressing the Montreal screw job, which was a real life thing that took place. We had shit to say about that because we hated Vince McMahon, and that brought in the Vince McMahon character for the Attitude Era, for Stone Cold Steve Austin to continuously whoop his ass. We had no qualms about that. We can't say, well, that ain't the same. It is the same because this is a real life situation that's getting put at the forefront, and all of a sudden, we need to just bury it. So it was okay for CM Punk to say his piece and keep it moving, right? But it's not okay. It's completely immature. It's whatever the case may be, whatever negative thoughts you may have, that AEW shouldn't say anything. The Bucks shouldn't say anything. Like, nah, you shouldn't do that. You got all this success. Nah, don't. You're gonna kill the company if you do that. How you gonna kill the company doing that? You just had like 3 of your biggest signings over the course of this year. You're on the verge of making a major deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. And don't you think they had this conversation with WBD? Don't you think they had a conversation with Tony Khan about this situation? Like, and then they're like, well, if they're real, they should release the footage for Brawl Out. They can't release the footage of Brawl Out. There's an NDA, jackass. Like, come on, man. People just talk just to talk. I was like, the question is it the right move? I really don't know. But the hypocrisy is real, though. This is no different. Like, this could literally make the Bucks the biggest heels in AEW as a tag team, because you know they're going to win them tag team titles. They ain't going to lose twice. Let's put on our thinking caps right here. Beating FTR, a well-liked tag team, by the way. Beat them. Who are they friends with? They are friends with CM Punk. They could use this footage to incriminate this man or whatever the case may be. Turn a real life situation into a major storyline going into Dynasty, and you keep that thing pushing and you keep that train rolling, and you can just be hated because technically speaking, they're taking the page out of Vince McMahon's character book. That's what this is. They're EVPs. They're abusing their power. They're doing all kinds of shit. So now if it's a bait and switch, that's not going to go well. Because now you just got us to watch this. Like you just brought viewership to the content here, and oh well, we broke 1 million. We broke 1 million because we lied. Nah, don't do that. But if TK is saying this is not a bait and switch, then it's not a bait and switch. Like, we got to have some, like, it's almost like we brain dump the shit that we had in wrestling from the Monday Night Wars. Like, was Eric Bischoff not saying the results of Monday Night Raw when Monday Night Raw was taped? We didn't give a damn. We was entertained by it. When DX pulled up to Nitro with the tank, were we pissed off about that? No. We was entertained by it. That's what we were. But if the Bucks released this footage, oh my God, it's immature. They shouldn't do this. Man, nah, keep that same energy across the board. Across the board, man. You got to keep that thing across the board. It's the right call if the ends justify the means. It's the right call. I think, they've been quiet all week long about this. I mean, they've been poking the beehive. They've been definitely poking that beehive, throwing like subliminal jabs at people. They don't ever say no names. They're not going to say any names, but subliminal jabs here and there, and then they never said anything. But the major thing that really was the point of it is CM Punk. And when CM Punk aired out his grievances, it's almost like it was said that TK had this footage for a long time but never released it. Like, for whatever reason, he never released it. And maybe because it's like, I still like CM Punk. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to put his business out like that. It's whatever. But then he gets on Ariel Helwani, which you already know. Helwani and Tony Khan, they don't really get along like that. So it's almost like this was like a smear campaign. It feels that way. And I'm saying that's what it is, but it feels that way. And then, you know, Helwani was asking other people about AEW, almost like he wanted them to say something bad about AEW in a way. Only for him to say, Cody, quote him, Cody, story wouldn't be as big if he didn't go to AEW and leave AEW. That's part of his story. Like, I mean, you know, where was this energy earlier this week? You know what I'm saying? Like, I peep game here. I peep game. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, release the footage, man. You got us talking. We got 24 hours. We got 24 hours. Tomorrow we will see footage and if I was the Bucks, if I was Tony Khan, I'm not releasing that footage to the end of the show. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You're gonna enjoy every bit of AEW Dynamite. You're gonna see what you're gonna see what we bring to the table as far as wrestling content. Oh, and by the way, after the main event ends, we will air the footage. End it on that note. You know what I mean? But it's all about placement too. Like, it's all about where you're going to place that particular footage. I mean, who knows? It could be AEW all-in footage. It could be just backstage stuff with them and FTR. You know what I'm saying? It could just be that. They never really said that it involves Perry and Punk. They never really openly said that. You know, the Bucks wrestle FTR, so it could be that. It could be like backstage segments with FTR and the Bucks. It could be like all the stuff that was going on, and in your mind, it's like, oh my God, they're gonna release the footage of Jack Perry. But it's not a bait and switch though, because they actually show you AEW all-in footage. It wasn't a lie. It could be the case. But check it. That is our show for today. And also, I got to give a special shout out to Bayley. Bayley being finally getting her shine, man. I just wish Bayley got the main event, man, because she rightfully deserves that main event spot. But I'm pretty sure she's gonna carry that championship with style and grace and everything else in between. I love this Bayley. I hope she have a lengthy title run as well. So, but that's our show for today. I hope you guys enjoy Geek Corner fandom. To our Patreon users, I got some videos lined up. Going to be recording some videos for you guys, and I will be posting it in the Patreon. You guys will get that first, and then, you know, a couple of days later, I will post it on YouTube. But you guys will have first dibs. You're still continuously working on that. So, to my Geek Corner fandom, until next time, y'all. Peace.